So when I say what is a successful season for the Lakers, what I'm asking Laker fans to do is put to the side of, well, we only win chips. And I want you to be a little bit more just realistic about this upcoming year and be honest, because I got my path here for me. They're not a top three, top four team in the NBA. So that's why right now I can't sit here and look into the camera and speak into a mic and tell you that, hey, the Lakers, if it's not an NBA championship, that's a disappointment. That I don't think is realistic at this point. Here's what, in my opinion, is realistic in the expectations as far as the Lakers. And here's what I would say is a success this upcoming year. Can you be a top 5 seed in the Western Conference? Can you stop digging yourself a hole that in the final couple weeks of the season, you're basically fighting to keep your head above water so you don't drown in the middle of the Western Conference pool? Can you be a team that by the time you get to mid-March, early April, hey, I like our positioning. We're still going to fight here. We're still going to try to see, can we get home court, whoever you're fighting with in that number 4 spot? Or maybe you're locked into number 5, but you're not locked into a position where if we lose 2 games in a row, we're back in the play-in tournament. We got to play a couple of extra games. We might be in a situation where it's 1 game, win or go home at Crypto.com Arena. I want them to get out of that mess. And they've been in that mess the last couple of years. And I do think it's hurt them. And I do think it's kind of take a little bit of the wind out of their sails as they get to the postseason, especially for a team that's got a LeBron James who's going to turn 40 years old by the time we get to January 1st. Here's what I would tell you is a successful season for the Lakers. Be a top 5 seed in the Western Conference. Be a team that when you get to the playoffs, everyone is looking at and saying, yeah, I don't want to face the Los Angeles Lakers. That's a dangerous team for whatever reasons. However, the Lakers are dangerous. Maybe they're dangerous because Anthony Davis is having an MVP type of season. Maybe they're dangerous because LeBron is still giving you 22, 6, and 6 a game. And when he's in there, he could still kind of control a lot of things. Maybe they're dangerous because Rui Hachimura, D'Angelo Russell, Austin Reeves, LeBron James, and Anthony Davis is one of the best starting 5s out there in the league. Maybe they're dangerous because all of a sudden you look at the bench and you're like, damn, Gabe Vincent gives them really good minutes. Wow, Jared Vanderbilt can come in and change the entire scope of the Lakers defense when he's in the game. Man, Max Christie in his 3rd year is really, really making some great strides. Dalton Knecht is a pure sniper in the NBA, and you got to watch out for this guy. JJ Redick, whatever doubts that you had about JJ Redick, you know what? This guy actually looks very comfortable in the NBA, and you could tell he's going to be a head coach for years to come. That's what I mean by the time the playoffs start. Be a top 5 team in the Western Conference. Come playoff time, everybody's looking at you and saying, that's a healthy team. They can make a run this postseason. And if we could avoid playing them, let's avoid playing them. And then the last thing I'll say of what I would say would make a successful season is that front office finally makes a move. That front office puts this team and this organization in a position with those 2 first-rounders that they have where they've been kind of standing in the middle. Either you completely rebuild, which the Lakers are not going to do, and I wouldn't argue that they should rebuild, or you go all in because you got LeBron, you got Anthony Davis, and every single day that goes by, your clock is ticking of having a chance to compete. It's going to be up to that front office, in my opinion, to make some type of move with those 2 first-rounders that they have to improve that roster. So if you take all of that, what makes a successful season for the Los Angeles Lakers? You're in it in the Western Conference and you stop digging yourself a hole. You're top 5 in the West. Your front office makes a move before the trade deadline. So now you have a legitimate chance to try to make some noise in the playoffs. You're healthy and you're dangerous going into the postseason. And then I think from there, the last thing that I will say, because there's no guarantees that you're going to make real noise in the playoffs and in the postseason, you're somewhere hovering in around that West semis, and everybody's saying to themselves, yeah, these top 4 teams left in the Western Conference, the Lakers got a legitimate shot. You can't guarantee championships. You can't guarantee a long playoff run. You can't guarantee health. So as I sit here today on October 16th, talking Lakers basketball at 8:54 a.m., that to me, as I check off the things off the list that has the recipe of a successful season for the Lakers, that to me would be my blueprint. All of those things could also not happen. Lakers can have health issues all season long. They can be right back in that 8, 9, or 10 fighting for that play-in spot. And then they could also find themselves in a position that either they don't make the playoffs or they're just in the play-in. I think they're going to make the playoffs. I don't think that part's going to be really an issue. But they can also find themselves with a really low seed or high seed and then have to play one of the elite teams, and then they're out in the first round again in 5 games. And then if somebody, tells me again that, yeah, Al, but they really hung with the Denver Nuggets. Yeah, but they lost in 5 games, or they were swept the year before. That could also very well happen again. And, frankly, I'm not really sure what the front office will do. I know that it sounded like they've been promoting for the last couple of years. Hey, don't worry. We got 3 first rounders. We're going to be aggressive. Hey, don't worry. We got 2 first rounders. We're going to go out and try to make a move if it makes sense. And here we are now walking into this next season. They still haven't done anything. Literally nothing happened in the offseason. What happened in the offseason? They drafted Dalton Knecht and they drafted Bronny. That's all that happened in the offseason. And many of the storylines so far in the offseason have only been about that, have been about LeBron playing with Bronny. So something to keep in mind there, and that's the best way that I would put it. All right, let's see what we got here. Let's take a look at some of these comments here. It takes 2. If no one wants to deal with the Lakers, what can you do? I think what you can do, I think it's a good question. I think what you could do is I think you can have you got to set better expectations coming into the season or coming into the offseason. I think one of the things that Rob Pelinka did that I think hurt him, I felt like he set an expectation like the Los Angeles Lakers were going to do something, that there was a good chance that they would make a move. And then, all of a sudden, if that doesn't happen, now you set some expectations. I was in sales for a number of years, right? You guys kind of know a little bit my story. I did 5 years selling a local sports radio station out here in San Diego. I did 10 years selling at 710 ESPN up in Los Angeles, marketing partnerships, all that thing. Do you want to know what my foundation and my philosophy was? And I had tremendous success in sales, and I like doing sales. I like the business side of things. I like the concept of it. And here I am now running my own business, trying to do the same thing. I can't sell anything if my life depended on it at the moment, but we'll get there. But one of my philosophies, and I learned it from a young age, and everybody's heard this before: under promise, over deliver. Under promise, over deliver. I would always under promise. I would always under promise to my accounts out there, to the partnerships, and I'd always have it in my mind: whatever the hell I promise you, I'm gonna over deliver. And I thought Rob Pelinka these last year and a half or so, and to go back to the question out there, well, it takes 2 to tango. My problem was more to do with Rob Pelinka. Pelinka, you overpromised and you underdelivered. It almost sounded like, hey, it's a guarantee Lakers are going to go out there and they're going to make some moves. I would have much rather Rob Pelinka say, guys, look, I understand that I have 3 first-round picks, but I got to be smart with them. I'm going to be smart with them. If a deal presents itself, then I'm going to go out there and make a deal. But I'm not going to promise anything to Laker fans because there's a lot of things that happen in the background. You have no idea what happens when it comes to negotiations and everything else. So I don't want to promise anything to anybody. And if a deal comes through, just know that I did it because I felt like it was a good move for the organization from a short-term perspective and a long-term perspective. That's all you have to say. That's all you have to say. Then all those other beat writers and everybody else that's writing articles are basically saying, yeah, Pelinka's not committing to anything. I didn't feel like Pelinka did that. I felt like there were a lot of times Rob set an expectation that he has not been able to fulfill. Under promise, over deliver.